everybody. Welcome back to the Throwing Partners podcast. It's Kirby and Joe here, kind of giving you a swan song pod tonight because both of our teams missed the postseason. But also, too, we are going to give you a postseason preview on who we think is going to win the wild card series, maybe the division series, the championship series, and then obviously the World Series. So Joe is currently trying to get everything ready for what he wants to talk about in his, as usual, Astros rant. So I'm going to give kind of a quick Braves recap on what happened this season. So
Before you let me just say something. I think I want to just speak for everybody here, saying the season went exactly like we predicted. The Tigers finished, the AL season with the best record in baseball. The Astros and Braves definitely made the postseason. The Dodgers underperformed. The Yankees lineup wasn't that good, like we said. The Mets made the postseason, and the Red Sox definitely were like a 1 or 2 seed caliber team, as we predicted.
Yeah, it's so irritating because baseball is just like bullpens. It's so volatile year to year almost. That overall, there's very little consistency amongst teams unless you are one of like the top 5 teams every year, like the Dodgers, the Astros have been the last 8 years, the Braves the last 7 years. So it's just annoying, Joe. But anyway, that's beside the point. I kind of want to talk about some overall reactions I had from this season. So first of all, let me just say this: the Braves started out 0-7, and that number 7 kind of sums up their season, and I'm going to tell you why. So first of all, like I just said, they started off the year 0-7, and then they ended up being 7 games below 500 on the road. Now, the Cincinnati Reds actually ended up claiming that last wild card spot with an 83-win team. Okay, for those of you who are any good at math, 83 minus 76 is what? 7. So we're looking at a difference of 7 games. So if the Braves would have been, a 500 team or better on the road and not started off the season 0-7, we're looking at a postseason team in the National League this year, because the teams that were, like 4th, 5th, and 6th, really not that great. Didn't have great records. Nothing was outstanding. So needless to say, that the number 7 really sticks out to me this year. They were 21-35 in 1-run games. So once again, that number 7, if they would have been a 500 team, which would have given them 7 more wins, they would have been a postseason team. And I say that too because not only would they have had the same record as the Reds and the Mets, they held the tiebreaker over both of those because they played well against both of them. So it just really sucks looking at all that into perspective. There was a couple things also that really summed up their season. The first one was that they went 8-22 between March and July, which absolutely just killed them. Some better things, though, is between April, August, and September, they went 44-35. That's a .556 winning percentage, a 90-win pace. That easily puts them into the postseason. They were an over 500 team in the second half at 34-33. That's largely affected by the 10-game win streak they had, basically after they'd already been eliminated. The offense was very inconsistent most of the season. The most runs that they scored in a game this year was 12. That only happened 3 times. One of the most disappointing things is that you saw every single member of the rotation go on the IL, and all of them pretty much for the 60-day IL or for the rest of the season. You lost Spencer Schwellenbach, A.J. Smith-Shawver, and Grant Holmes. They were all done for the season very early. You lost Chris Sale for about 2 months, especially in that July timeframe when everything really went south. You lost Spencer Strider for a brief IL stint after he had come back, and overall he just wasn't really that effective this year. So a lot of injuries, just like the Astros. A rough start, and just playing bad ball for too long of a period of time just never really gives you a chance to get back into it. So thank God that we don't start off on the West Coast next year, because they never play well on the West Coast. It doesn't matter what year it is. Doesn't matter how many games they've won. You go East Coast to West Coast, you just don't play well there. It's a curse that they have. It's an Achilles heel. But I do want to highlight some positives because there's 7 things. Man, let me go 8 things that I thought went really white. Seven guys that really had a great season, and then I'll finish off by what happened on Sunday. Biggest positive from this year was Drake Baldwin. Drake Baldwin should be the Rookie of the Year winner, which will also give them another draft pick, which will really help their farm system. Drake Baldwin had a 3.3 B-WAR. He had an 810 OPS and a 126 OPS plus with 19 homers and 80 RBIs. Doing all of that in 400 plate appearances, 400 at bats, and less than 70 strikeouts, which is really impressive because a lot of guys nowadays, they're striking out 100, 120, 140 times a year. He's got great plate discipline and always seems to take pretty professional at bats. Another one, Matt Olson had a great year. 6.1 B-WAR, 41 doubles, 29 home runs, 95 RBIs, and an 850 OPS with 91 walks. And while also playing Gold Glove caliber defense. And I truly believe that he will win the Gold Glove. He was fantastic over there this year. Ronald Acuna Jr., we saw him with a 935 OPS and a 163 OPS plus. Didn't do a lot of running, which is fine. I'd rather him stay healthy. And I would love to see him once again in another fully healthy season next year. Chris Sale, even though he was on the 60-day IL, he probably missed 9 to 10 starts. He still ended up starting 20 games with a 2.58 ERA in 125 2/3 innings with 165 Ks and a 1.61 ERA plus. Almost identical numbers to his Cy Young campaign last year. If we'd have seen him make 9 to 10 more starts, he's probably in the top 3 to 5 in the Cy Young again. So it's always good to see Sale healthy. And it didn't happen this year for about 2 months, but overall, when he did pitch, he was very good. Spencer Schwallenbach, like I said, he went on the IL early for the season, but he did start 17 games, had a 1.34 ERA plus with a 3.09 ERA overall. He's got such a promising future if he can stay healthy as well. Hurston Waldrep actually came up. I believe he started 10 games, had a 2.88 ERA and a 3.21 FIP, which means he's not really getting all that lucky. He looked really good. Command looked a lot better. And I think overall he's got a really bright future ahead of him. The Braves pitching lab and the pitching staff, they just know so much more about starters and how to develop them than the average fan. Because me and a lot of fans were convinced that he was headed for the bullpen. But like I said, he started 10 games this year and overall looked really good. Just took a little time to develop. And then the last one I have, as far as players, is Tyler Kinley, who was a guy they got at the trade deadline, a reliever, had a .72 ERA in 24 games with the Braves this year. That's an option they will 100% pick up because it's only for $5 million. And he had a 2.74 FIP, which is very reasonable for a reliever. And then the last thing that I thought was one of the positives from this season was the Charlie Morton send-off that happened yesterday on Sunday. We saw Charlie Morton get DFA'd by the Tigers. Alex Anthopoulos picked up the phone and it was able to pick up Charlie and let him go out as a Brave against the Pirates, which was very fitting because he spent most of his career with both of those teams. He threw an inning and a third, and overall, he just he did a great job. He did a great job. They had a great send-off for him, and it was just a really cool moment, very surreal. I mean, he came into the big leagues in 2008, and then was able to finish out his career with the Braves. I'm assuming that he's going to retire. He didn't officially say, but I think that's everybody's assumption. So, Joe, what do you have for the Astros?
Well, you can't see me, but there's just, I'm disappointed in the Astros season. Obviously, it did not end the way that anybody had hoped it would. The Astros, going into the season, the expectations were lower the normal based off of the offensive output that they had last year. Everybody predicted, I believe, their total win-loss total at the beginning of the year was set at 86.5. So technically, they finished half a game better than most analysts predicted. But that's not the mark that we're used to as Houston Astros fans. I'm just going to say this. The last time the Astros missed the postseason, I was 16. I turned 25 in 10 days. So that just tells you how long it's been since the Astros have missed the postseason and kind of the expectations they've built over the last 10 years. Now, with that being said, the Astros did struggle a lot this year with injuries, mainly to Yordan Alvarez and Isaac Paredes, who I think had huge impacts on the way that this offense performed because they both slug for a very high percentage and they both also see a ton of pitches, which is something that the Astros have not done very much of in recent years. Specifically, this is a trend that has kind of reared its ugly face in the last 2 years, where they have been the bottom two teams in the league when it comes to swinging out of the zone, chase rate, and just overall seeing the least amount of pitches compared to other teams. So that's a trend that scares me. That's a trend that I think says a lot about the roster construction. And that's a trend that, injuries aside, shouldn't happen. In my mind, that tells me that there's a team philosophy that just is not there. And as an organization, that's what they built their success on, was making pitchers work, making starters leave the baseball game after 5 innings, 4 2/3, just, getting to the bullpen, because that's where you can do the most damage most of the time is, if you're playing a team with a subpar bullpen, that's where you get a lot of your run production from. And it also, builds on top of, like, if you're playing in a series and you make, game 1, you make the starter exit after 4 2/3 innings, that just sets you up for success the following 2 days. If you are again able to make the pitcher work, you're going to force that bullpen to keep throwing, and you're going to have multiple at-bats against the same guys. That only breeds success, and that's something that the team has not done very well in the last 2 years. Now, with that being said, the injuries on the pitching staff, I think, is what really handicapped the team this year. In terms of injuries, I think that the offensive injuries sucked, for sure, but I think when you look at the amount of pitching injuries that this team had, the writing was on the wall. It was almost insurmountable. You started off the season, losing Spencer Arrighetti to a broken thumb. You lose Ronel Blanco to Tommy John, Hayden Wesneski to Tommy John. Luis Garcia comes back and then is having to get another surgery. You lose Brandon Walter, who you pulled out of a hat and was giving you great innings, and you lose him to elbow surgery. You lost Bennett Sousa. You lost Josh Hader. You've lost, you lost a plethora of guys that just were very key contributors to the pitching staff. That were very crucial to this team's success. That just, and you had to figure out a way to get it done. And I'm going to have a take later on that is going to be, surprising, but I think the Astros should seriously consider operating this way. But when you have guys like Jaden Murray, who you, again, pull out of a hat, I think he had 11 or 12 innings when it comes to the time he got called up to the end of the season, and he didn't give up an earned run. When you have a guy like Blue Ball, who was a very good producer for you when you needed him to step up, come out and shove. These are guys that you can build on in the next season, but you need to go out and get, a quality starter for next season to bolster that rotation, because right now the rotation that you have is, you have Hunter Brown, you have Christian Javier, and Jason Alexander. Those are your healthy starters right now, because Spencer Arrighetti, after that broken thumb, went down with an elbow injury. So that just kind of piled onto us at the end of the season. I think the injuries, brought down morale a lot over the course of 162, but I don't think that this team's success or lack thereof can be blamed fully on the injuries. I think that if that is the mindset that they have going into next season, we're just going to keep regressing as a team and as an organization. I think that changes are coming. I think that a lot of people who have sources within the Astros organization believe that Joe Espada will be fired in the next week, all depending on what AJ Hinch in Detroit does. Because I think that if that job becomes vacated due to the lack of success from the Tigers, I think that Jim Crane has every intention of having another reunion. And so, I struggle with that because I really don't have any complaints. I cannot point to a single decision that Joe Espada made and almost question it. I can maybe count on both hands the amount of times, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that I've thought about questioning, whether or not Joe Espada's in-game management was good enough, or, did he make the right call? Because I feel like 9 out of 10 times he was putting the right guys in the right moments, and they just weren't executing. Statistics, like if you look at their statistics, and a lot of people were really upset with him not going to Brian Abreu against, I think it was 3, 4, and 5 in the Angels lineup on Friday night. When you had, Brian Abreu there, but you pitch Brian King. Well, Brian King statistically was one of the most dominant left-handed pitchers against right-handed hitters this year. Like, that was the right call. Like, he is your setup guy. He had been your high leverage, 7th inning guy, and then 8th inning guy after the Josh Hader injury all season. And he dominated. I believe Chandler Rome said that was his first or second extra base hit he had given up to a right-handed hitter all season. So at the end of the day, it was lack of execution on the player's part. And that's just one example. I think that firing Joe Espada is a mistake just based off of his in-game management, but maybe it's not, because I'm not in that clubhouse, and some of these people have sources within the Astros inside that clubhouse that, were saying that maybe the vibes were not as good as we thought. And, that is on Joe Espada, because as a manager, you are expected to, corral the guys and fire them up when they need to. Like, when morale is down, they need to be, like, Joe Espada needs to be able to pick them up. And again, I understand that the injuries, that just kills you over 162. The Astros had an historic amount of injuries over this last baseball season. But at the end of the day, your destiny was in your hands, and you did not get there because of the lack of execution, because of the lack of a game plan. I think that there needs to be a new hitting philosophy within the organization, and I think that comes from the top down. I really do. I think that, Jim Crane made a comment, I believe, right after they let James Click go, saying that we're going to move away from being heavily reliant on analytics. And I've said it 1,000 times on this podcast, and I know everybody's tired of hearing me say it and ranting for 10 plus minutes on it. I know, but it's something that I feel like has to be said, because I think that Astros fans live in this fantasy world where Jim Crane does no wrong. But the rest of the baseball community sees Jim Crane and they see the Jerry Jones of MLB right now, because all of the smart people within baseball were saying, what the hell are you doing after the 2022 season and getting rid of James Click? And honestly, the reason why we are in this situation right now is because of that 2022 to 2023 offseason. You're handcuffed right now because of the Jose Abreu contract. You're handcuffed right now because you're still paying Rafael Montero. You know, James Click extended Ryan Presley through the 2025 season, but that seemed like a Jim Crane kind of deal. That did not seem like a James Click kind of move right there. You know, and Jim Crane tried to play GM, and it blew up in his face. And Astros fans hate it when you say that he doesn't spend money. And I guess it's wrong to say that he doesn't spend money. I think that he doesn't spend money wisely. And I think that that's been very apparent over the last 3 seasons. When it comes to bringing back Justin Verlander, you know, and a part of me wants to blame Dana Brown, but when you kind of look at some of the deadlines that Dana Brown has had, you know, the 2023 deadline, you know, the Justin Verlander acquisition, that screams Jim Crane. That doesn't scream a move that Dana Brown would make. A move that Dana Brown would make seems like the Yusei Kikuchi trade, where it's he's kind of an under the radar kind of guy that he believes the Astros could fix, and they did. You know, obviously we didn't get to see that trade really come into fruition, which was very unfortunate, but you know, the results were there. Now, I think that this trade deadline was very unfortunate because it did blow up in your face. The Carlos Correa trade, that was a Jim Crane move. I don't think that was. Yeah, I don't think that was a Dana Brown move.
Nope.
I think that, and you know what? That somehow that was the most successful part of the trade deadline, honestly. And you know what? Good for him. Carlos Correa is under contract for another 2 years, I believe. He is making a significant amount of money that you really don't want to be paying him, but the Twins ate some of that contract, so whatever. He's a Gold Glover, and if he can find that offense again, like he did the second half of the season with the Astros, then I'm not going to complain about it because he produced for the team when the team needed him. But when you look at guys like Jesus Sanchez and Ramon Urias, you know, those were guys that you really thought could potentially produce for this team, and they did not. You know, Ramon Urias pretty much did not play like the last 3 weeks of the season, and Jesus Sanchez was like, I believe at one point it was like 1 for 45. It was not good. And that was a guy that you were kind of looking to be that platoon guy for Cam Smith, who had tapered off after his very hot start. You know, it's very unfortunate the way that trade deadline played out, because on paper it seemed like very good moves. And again, there's just something wrong. Like you get a hitter who was competent all last year and all the first half this year in Jesus Sanchez, and then he immediately goes on 2 like 0 for 32s and 1 for 45 streaks, and has like 1 good week with the Astros. Like what were those tweaks that they made to his swing, to his approach, that just absolutely cratered him after having a very competent, you know, season? I don't know. I think it's something that needs to change. I think it's something that needs to change in the scouting department. I think it's something that needs to change in the analytics department. We need to go back to a heavier analytic-based approach, because getting away from that and bringing in Reggie Jackson and Jeff Bagwell and Craig Biggio to be GM by committee and to be analysts for the team with this old school mentality is not how you're going to win baseball games. You're not going to win baseball games by not having any slug, by not producing with runners in scoring position. Somehow this team lacked slug, but at the same time, it looked like every time they were going up to the plate with runners in scoring position, they were trying to hit home runs, which doesn't make any sense to me. They either popped the ball up straight up into the air, 50 feet into the air, either into shallow right field or the infield, or they pounded the ball into the ground. It made no sense what their approach was with runners in scoring position. It's so infuriating. They just Kirby, do you want to take a guess? Do you want to take a gander at who had the most at-bats, the highest percentage of at-bats with runners in scoring position this year?
I don't know. I have an idea. Was it Christian Walker?
It was Christian Walker. Would you say that Christian Walker had a good season?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and that's a problem. His K rate with runners in scoring position was 31.4%.
That's like Jared Kelenic territory. That's horrible.
Yeah. Do you want to know who the third highest player with runners in scoring position to get at bats was?
The third highest? Oh, I'm going to go like Jake Myers.
No. Yainer Diaz.
Oh,
would you describe Yainer Diaz's season as good?
No. His was worse than Walker's in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm of the belief that Yainer Diaz did okay offensively as a catcher and as someone who should be hitting like 8th or 9th in your lineup, not 5th or 6th consistently. And again, that has a lot to do with injuries. Let me preface that, because in any year where the Astros are fully healthy, when you have Jeremy Pena, Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Carlos Correa, Isaac Paredes, you then put Christian Walker and Yainer Diaz 8 or 9. You find somebody to hit in that 6th spot, and you put Christian Walker and Yainer Diaz 6, 8, or 7, 8, and then Jake Myers 9 in any other season. But the injuries killed them, and it forced Joe Espada to put them in the 4th and 5th hole almost every game. That's where the injuries hurt this team. But over the course of 162, you would think that somebody within the organization would go to those guys and tell them, "Hey, meathead, stop swinging at pitches 5 feet in the left-handed batter's box." That comment is specifically for Yainer Diaz, because at the end of the season, his at-bats really started to frustrate me, even though he started playing better, actually, genuinely started playing better. But Christian Walker's season started off with an oblique injury, and I think that he just never was able to get his footing after that. He started off the season with that oblique strain, and he was just playing catch-up and was just never able to get back to full speed, which I think really hampered him. I'm going on a tangent, but the lack of approach, the organizational philosophy, I think just needs to change. They have the ability to go out and make some waves this offseason. Everybody was expecting a down year from the Astros this year, especially because they were handcuffed from that 2023 offseason in terms of salary. Now, Jim Crane did the unimaginable and passed the CBT threshold, which nobody was expecting him to do. But he did that at the trade deadline. And coming into the season, no one was expecting that. So everybody thought that the Astros roster, the way that they were constructed, was going to be what they got. Obviously, now they have some decisions to make. You have Carlos Correa at third base going in next year. You have Isaac Paredes on the team, and you have Christian Walker on the team. and only one spot for first base. Isak Paredes has more value because he has team control, and he's arbitration eligible. He's not making like $20 million a year. And he actually performed very well this season and showed a lot of guts, might I add, when it came down the stretch and the team needed him. I mean, that guy earned all of the respect that I can give him. But you have two guys that should potentially be playing first base. You're not going to slot Isak Paredes at second. I think that's a pipe dream. Christian Walker has very minimal value. And if you were to trade him, you would have to eat half of his salary. But I think that that's the route that the Astros move. I think that the Astros will shop Christian Walker. I think that they'll have to eat his salary, but I think that they will be able to get something back in return for him. And it's then their job to optimize whatever it is they were able to get for him. I think that the Astros shop Mauricio Dubon because they traded for Ramon Urias, who is basically Mauricio Dubon 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Astros shop. Let's see, who else is on here? I think the Astros could potentially shop Yainer Diaz. I think that that would be a mistake because honestly, with again, preface this with if you're fully healthy and Yainer Diaz is your 8 or 9 hitter, you are not complaining about the season that he had because he had a 102 WRC plus with runners in scoring position, and he was like second in the team and with RBIs. Like, you're not complaining about that, but when he's your 5 hitter, you are complaining about that because he has absolutely no approach. I think that you're going to see them. You know, I, in my opinion, this is my hot take. I think. Oh, sorry. One other guy that they're definitely going to shop is Jesus Sanchez. He does have value because he has team control, and he has proven in other years that he is a very capable hitter. Just, again, whatever the hell the Astros did to his swing when he got here absolutely cratered him. I think change of scenery would absolutely, is absolutely necessary. And I think that you can get, again, something for him, and it's the Astros' job to then optimize whoever they get. The next guy that I would heavily consider if I was the Astros to shop is Josh Hader. And that's a hot take. No one has really been talking about that. Everybody has been talking about really the 3 guys that I just mentioned. And, Christian Walker, Jesus Sanchez, and Mauricio Dubon. But Josh Hader is making $19 million a year. I believe he is the 2nd or 3rd highest paid relief pitcher in all of baseball. And he's a great closer. He is. I really appreciated what he did for us this season. He was one of the best closers in baseball. But this team, handcuffed with the amount of pitching that they need to go get in the offseason and the amount of slug that they need to go get in the offseason, and quite frankly, the lack of depth in the farm system that they need to replenish. I think that Josh Hader has the most value out of any of those guys that I just listed. Because if you trade him to a contender that has a good farm system, you're getting back at least one MLB-ready prospect and potentially a relief arm. Maybe a mid-tier prospect can be thrown into that too. But yeah, this team cannot afford to be paying Josh Hader $19 million a year. And that's just a fact. Now, do I think that the Astros are going to do this? Probably not. Do I think that they should heavily consider it? Yes, I do. For what I just stated, they need to replenish the farm. They need pitching, and quite frankly, they need somebody that could be ready to contribute to this major league team. Because as you saw, when guys like Jacob Melton, Bryce Matthews, Cooper Hummel came up, they're just not ready. And if you have another injury-riddled season like you did this year, which you thought would never happen because you set a major league record in the amount of injuries that you sustained, you're left with your pants down. and you have no backup plan. So I think that the Astros should potentially shop Josh Hader. I think that they should feel it out because they need those reinforcements. This offseason is going to be very interesting. Obviously based off of the monologue that I just had. You potentially could have a managerial search. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Jim Crane comes out tomorrow for the Astros postmortem sitting by himself because he cleared house with Dana Brown and Joe Espada. I really wouldn't be surprised. Everybody is saying that tomorrow Dana Brown and Joe Espada are going to come out and give a press conference. I would not be surprised if it was just Jim Crane sitting by himself tomorrow, trying to explain away the season. So, it'll be interesting to see. Altuve's another year older this year. He does not need to be playing 150 plus games. Even at DH, he needs to be playing more like 130 because, even though he was playing injured, definitely injured at the end of the season with a right foot injury, he just does not need to be seeing that many plate appearances because, at his age, he's becoming less and less effective the more that he plays. He needs to play in the middle of that 120 to 130 range where he can truly maximize his potential and still be rested. But obviously, he felt the need that he felt like he had to play in order to try to save this team's season. And again, very admirable because again, he was playing injured like for the last 2 months of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he needs a surgery in order to fix any damage in his foot over the offseason based off of things that have come out from Brian McTaggart and Chandler Rome. But yeah, I mean, the Astros have the potential to go out there and get rid of these contracts, get rid of Mauricio Dubon's contract. He should be getting paid like $7 million a year. There's no reason why you need to be paying Mauricio Dubon $7 million a year. Jesus Sanchez, I believe, is also getting that like 5 to 10 million range. There's no reason to be paying him because you think Cam Smith is going to take a step forward. And then trading Christian Walker, getting his contract off the books, because you also have Rafael Montero's contract coming off the books. You have Jose Abreu's contract coming off the books, and then Ryan Presley's contract coming off the books. You have money to spend. Just please, for the love of God, spend it wisely. Like, do not
do the spending.
I do not want to see a Justin Verlander Part 3. Please, for the love of God, do not spend $15 million on 1 year of Justin Verlander at the age of 43 years old. Please do not do that.
Can I ask a question though?
Yes.
So the Astros have been severely cursed since them not bringing back Yuli Gurriel between Abreu and now Walker. Should the Astros consider signing Pete Alonso?
No. Because then where does Isak? I mean, if you sign Pete Alonso, then you can shop Isak. But so the problem that no, because you know why? Another problem that I have, and this is a whole other tangent that I was trying to get up and ready, is quite frankly, you have a lot of players on the team that just cannot hit for 82 games a season because they can't see the ball for some reason at Dyken Park. I mean, other teams can see the ball, but playing 82 games at Dyken Park just severely cripples their ability to produce any offense. And Isaac Paredes is okay. First of all, Isaac Paredes is tailor made for his swing is tailor made for Dyken Park, Minute Maid Park, and he actually his swing is tailored for it, and he hits well in it. Like, there are guys that you would think, like Jose Abreu and Christian Walker, who you thought their swing would translate very well for Minute Maid Park. And it just did not work out because they cannot, for whatever reason, see the ball out of the hand. Whether it be there's too much going on in the background because of all of the advertisements that Jim Crane decided he was going to throw up. I don't know what it is. The guys just simply cannot see the bat, the ball out of the pitcher's hand when it comes to playing in Dyken Park for 82 games. I don't know what it is. It happens every year. It's very weird. And I don't know what the solution is. Maybe like blow up center field and just put a big backdrop, get rid of that Budweiser patio or whatever. So no, I don't think that the Astros should go sign Pete Alonso, because I think that that would mean trying to shop Isak Paredes, who has proven he can hit in Minute Maid Park.
Oh, I just figured I'd ask. Okay, Joe. So we have discussed our team's shortcomings this year. I think it's time that we move into our postseason predictions. Do you want to start in the American League or want to start in the National League?
We can start in the National League.
Okay, so first series that we have is going to be Padres Cubs. Who are you taking?
I'm taking the Padres.
Okay. Yeah. Are you? Ooh. I actually. This is really hard. And here's why I say that. The Padres have a great bullpen. Their offense is not good, not great by any means. The Cubs' offense is good. Their offense is very good. Their pitching staff is not great. The Cubs' only hope is to get to a starter for the Padres. That is their biggest hope. If they want to win the series, they have to get to the starter. They're going to have to go out swinging, literally, to Nick Pivetta tomorrow before the bullpen comes in, because their pen is very good. But also, too, you have some bona fide stars on the Padres that have played well in big moments, like Fernando Tatis, like Manny Machado. The Cubs, on the other hand, honest to God, their biggest quote-unquote postseason performer is probably Dansby Swanson, because it's not Kyle Tucker. It's not Tucker. It's probably Dansby Swanson, who always seems to have a knack for a big hit in the postseason. And then also, too, Cubs pitching staff is not great. I wouldn't be surprised if Matthew Boyd got torched tomorrow. So I think I'm going to agree with you, Joe. I'm going to take the Padres. I think that series could be over in 2 games. Personally, I think it's 2 games. I don't even think it goes 3. So that's what I'm going to go with as well. Moving on, Dodgers Reds.
The Reds aren't a good team. They had 83 wins.
Yeah.
But hey, I've seen crazier shit happen. Like the Dodgers have choked away crazier series. That is all I'm gonna say. Now, with that being said, I will pick the Dodgers to move on. But I would not be surprised if the Reds won that series. I would not. Because the Reds have Hunter Green. I mean,
he's also very good.
Yeah, their pitching is probably the only reason why that top 3 of their rotation is probably the only reason why they made the postseason to begin with. So that bodes well for a 3-game series. Anything could happen, but the Dodgers just have the pedigree. They have the star power. They are playing in Chavez Ravine, which honestly, after the Astros played and that stadium in the postseason for 2020, everything happened in that stadium. The ball flies. Yep. So I think that obviously the Dodgers, but again, I would not be shocked to see the Dodgers choke away that series.
I think I'm gonna take the Dodgers on sheer star power, and guys who are postseason performers. We saw Shohei have a really good postseason last year. Freddie has had some really great postseason moments. Same with Kike Hernandez, Teoscar. Blake Snell actually pitches well in the postseason. I'm going to be interested to see how Yamamoto does this year. But let me tell you, Joe, you know what the Reds' X factor is? Terry Francona. Who the hell is betting against Tito? Who was betting against Tito? Did you hear the other day that I don't remember if it was like Friday or Saturday. That dude was in his uniform at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. ready to go, ready to go manage the team. Um, the Dodgers have choked a lot. They have made the postseason, I think, every year since 08. And I just Hunter Green is talented. Andrew Abbott is talented. If they had three good offensive players, I might pick the Reds to go to the World Series. But their offense sucks. Their offense is atrocious. I think I'm going with the Dodgers, but boy, it would not surprise me if the Reds go out and win like a 2-1 game. With Hunter Green going like 6 shutty. But also too, it's just something about Terry Francona. He just knows how to get the guys fired up. He just knows how to motivate players. He's a guy that I think every guy would enjoy playing for. Every team. He was with the Red Sox. Obviously, won the World Series. He was with the Indian Guardians, now formerly known as Indians. Had good teams there, and now he's with the Reds, doing the same thing. Wherever this guy goes, this guy wins. He's like Bruce Bochy, which, by the way, Bruce Bochy's now let go. I don't know if you saw that news earlier.
Yep.
Mutually agreed. Okay, whatever.
Well, he's coming back to be like a special assistant or something. So
Yeah,
I think the team was just raising his blood pressure too much, and he needed to take a step back, step out of the dugout.
I think with the news about Bob Melvin today, I think he goes back to San Francisco for one more last ride, and then I think he calls it a career. Just my thought. Anyway, that's beside the point. I'm going to go with the Dodgers. I'm going to go with the Dodgers in 3 because I think the Reds are going to steal one, and I think you're going to have to see Shohei pitch game 3. Moving over to the American League. Tigers, Guardians. Tigers, Guardians. Joe, you know how much MLB doesn't give a shit about this game? This game starts at 12:08 tomorrow, Central Time. 12:08. I'm going to be on my lunch break watching this game tomorrow. Like, what? 12:08? Come on. Like, they clearly do not care about this series at all. But you've got Scoop going against Williams. The way that the Tigers literally crashed, burned, and crawled their way into the postseason.
They fell ass backwards in because the Astros could not handle their business. Yes. That is the only reason why the Tigers made it into the postseason, is because the Astros were just as inept as they were.
Yeah. It just. Okay, you know what the Guardians remind me of, Joe? Every time that the Cardinals get into the postseason, everything goes right for them. And this year, I just feel like that's the Guardians, and that things just went right for them. Like the home run off the foul pole yesterday to win the damn game. That doesn't happen to every team. The little dribblers against Scooball the other night, where they ended up not hitting the ball out of the infield and scored 3 runs, that doesn't happen to every team but the Guardians. I'm taking the Guardians in 3 in this series. I think that the Tigers take game 1, and then I think after that, the Guardians take 2 and 3. Because after Scooball, once again, it's pitching chaos. They have no game plan.
So in that case, you think that AJ Hinch is managing the Houston Astros next season?
He still has a house in Houston. I wouldn't be surprised if you see AJ Hinch back at the helm in Houston next year. That would not surprise me, not one bit. I 100% could see it happening, especially since the Tigers essentially like rescinded his extension after the collapse. Or at least that's kind of the rumor-ish that's going around. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Hinch move on and potentially probably go back to Houston. And I honestly, with the fan base, I think he'd be very much welcome back. So who do you have in this series, Joe?
It's terrorism baseball versus the biggest implosion in MLB history.
Yep.
I'm going Team Terrorism. I think the Cleveland Guardians win that series. They're gonna have the progressive feel rocking. Those fans always show up for that team when it matters. It's Jose Ramirez and the power of friendship and duct tape and glue holding that offense together. I don't know how they did it. I mean,
they have a average of 225.
Yeah, I just they find a way though. I mean, they grind you down. I could like bring everything back to the Astros. You know when this team really caught fire?
Let's hear it.
You want to take a guess? The Astros had just got done sweeping the Dodgers July 4th weekend, which was the weekend you got married.
Yeah.
And they come home to Minute Maid Park, and guess who they play?
The Guardians.
The Guardians. Do you want to guess what kind of streak the Guardians were on at the time of that series?
I'm sure they were on some kind of losing streak before that.
A 10-game losing streak. Do you want to guess how many games the Astros won in that series?
I'm going to say 0.
You guessed correct.
Can I just say this? The Guardians right now, have you ever seen any of the Jurassic World movies with Jeff Goldblum where he's like life finds a way? The Guardians just find a way. I don't know. I seriously, they have the Cardinals devil magic right now because everything that could go right for them goes right. Now, eventually, I think that luck runs out. I don't think that they're a World Series caliber team by any means, but at the same time, when you have Stephen Vogt and Jose Ramirez leading the charge, that's pretty two damn good leaders leading the charge as well. The Tigers don't have that. They have Hinch and they have Skubal, but they don't have a single offensive player that is as big of a bulldog as Jose Ramirez is. Honestly, Jeff, he's probably my favorite player in the league. Not named maybe Ozzy Albies. I'm taking the Guardians. I'm taking it in 3 games. Final choice. Final answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's my pick too. And then I think they run to an absolute buzzsaw that is the Seattle Mariners currently.
Yep. And then our last series, Red Sox, Yankees. 5 o'clock Central Time tomorrow. Crochet versus Max Fried. I'm going to tell you right now, Max Fried hasn't had a great postseason start since Game 6 of the 2021 World Series. I'm taking Garrett Crochet. I'm taking the Red Sox in 2. I don't even think it's going to be 3. What do you think, Joe? I don't even have to think about it. I'm taking the Red Sox in 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Red Sox only because I know that Alex Bregman knows how to terrorize the Yankees. And he's just a winner. I mean, 9 full seasons, 9 postseason appearances. Now, I do hate when they say that he's never missed the postseason because he has. His first year he missed the postseason. In 2016, the Astros did not go to the postseason. He was a rookie that year. But they then have to preface it by saying 9 full seasons. And yes, that would be correct. He has never missed the postseason in his 9 full seasons. He kills the Yankees. Honestly, he kills anybody that he faces in the postseason. He is just the guy. I mean, that was part of the reason why I was so upset when the Astros just let him walk away, was because of the fact that if there was anybody that I could ever count on in the Astros in the postseason, it was Alex Bregman showing up. I think outside of the 2021 season where he was basically playing on one hamstring, he's always been there. He's always performed. He's always come up in the clutch. It was kind of just like Carlos Correa. I think that the Red Sox find a way. I think that hopefully Crochet can,
I hope he shows.
shut. Yeah, I think hopefully he can like shut down the Yankees offense, and I think that the Red Sox move on to Toronto.
I just, after seeing Max Fried in 2022, in 2023, in 2024, and all three of those postseasons, absolutely just crap the bed. I have no faith that he will have a good start tomorrow at home. No faith. Absolutely no faith. Like I said, his last great start was Game 6 of the 2021 World Series. Because as you remember, Game 2 that he started was not good. Was not good. He did not have a good start that night because the Astros won that game. We were there. The Braves lost. So it's one of those things like, until I see him do it again, I'm never going to have faith that he's a great postseason pitcher. So no, I think I'm going Red Sox. I'm going Red Sox. But Joe, I'm going to ask you one more question for tonight before we close our pod. Now that the postseason is officially set, do you have a World Series matchup?
I think that the Phillies come out of the NL.
Okay.
Now, part of me wants to say that the Mariners get clowned on in the ALDS or the ALCS, and that's just a pure hater in me. Can I just say, like, it's so annoying that the Astros missed the postseason because, like, Seattle, like, local media, like, the Mariners are having the best season in their franchise's like history, like not the best season in their franchise's history, the best season in this franchise's last 25 years since 2001, since before the towers fell.
Yeah.
Yeah, since then, since 2001, and like the first thing on their mind is the Astros. Like,
yeah,
okay, like act like you've been there. I know it's been 25 years, but like I'm sure somebody remembers how to act. Like just it be happy for your team, and like why are we on the top of your mind? I don't get it. Like it's just that's a whole nother thing. So part of me wants to say that they're going to get clowned, but the rational part of me thinks that they have been playing like the hottest team in baseball since like August, like the middle of August.
Can we
so
just
that
there's a great chance that after last season, when MLB got their perfect little World Series with the Dodgers and the Yankees, that this year it would be so freaking funny if they got like Guardians Brewers. Like that would just
I think it would be.
Thing.
I think the best World Series matchup potentially would be an all Ohio matchup.
Oh my God.
With the Guardians and the Reds.
Oh my God. Joe, if the Guardians and the Reds make it to the World Series, that state will blow up. That state is going to blow up. Honestly, do you know how mad Major League Baseball will be if that happens?
Yeah.
They are going to cliff dive if that happens. That would be. Honestly, it would be unreal. But once again, there is still a good chance that MLB gets what they want. They get a Red Sox, they get a Yankees, they get a Philly, they get an LA, they get a Chicago. There's a good chance that they get one of those.
Yeah.
But I'm having a hard time picking a National League team. I have my American League team, and I'm pretty set. I'm pretty set on my ALCS matchup. I'm not set on picking a National League team because I could pick the Dodgers. I could pick the Padres. I can't pick the Phillies. Not without Zach Wheeler. If they had Wheeler, I would have picked them to win it because of his postseason pedigree alone. But with their offense only basically having like two guys and not having Zach Wheeler, I'm having a hard time picking Philly. I could probably pick either the Dodgers or the Padres. I can't pick the Cubs because they don't have the pitching. I don't know that I can pick the Brewers because I don't feel like they have the slug. The Brewers do a lot of things right, though. They pitch pretty well. They play great defense. They run the bases well. They do a lot of things well. But also, lately in the World Series, that's not how teams have been winning games. They've been winning games with the long ball, which is why it's really hard for me to pick against a team like Seattle that hits the long ball well. New York also hits the long ball well. Now, granted, they did play in Yankee Stadium, which we all know the jokes behind Yankee Stadium being a small park. But it's one of those things, like the teams that have won the World Series lately have hit more home runs, and significantly more. That could be Seattle, that could be New York, that could be LA, that could be Philly, maybe. I think the ALCS matchup, I'm gonna go Mariners Red Sox. For the NLCS, I can't pick one. I can't pick one because I think all of those teams have too many flaws. You know, they're all very flawed teams, in my opinion. What are you thinking, Joe?
I think I agree. I think each team has a hole. Out outside of the Mariners, honestly.
Yeah.
The clown on the Mariners for the longest time was their inability to produce offense, to produce any sort of slug at all in T-Mobile Ballpark, and they found the secret sauce. You know what they did? You know what they did? They fired their hitting coach.
Yeah, and they hired Kevin Seitzer, who had the Braves' best offense of all time. Actually, a major's best offense of all time with an 845 team OPS. Well, gee, what happens when he goes to Seattle his first season? They have an incredible offense. Do we think there's a coincidence there? Yeah. Yeah, I do. It's the hitting coach. It's Kevin Seitzer. He's fantastic. Every team should have a Kevin Seitzer. Anyway, rant over. Seattle doesn't have a lot of flaws. Their lineup is extremely deep. Their pitching staff is pretty good. They play really good like outfield defense, like center and right. Obviously Raleigh is having a career year. Their pitching staff, I mean, they don't have many flaws. They, in my opinion, out of the entire field right now, they have the least amount of flaws. And if Roman Anthony was healthy, I might pick the Red Sox as one of those teams that has the least amount of flaws, besides maybe some bullpen issues. But like I said, I could pick out every team in the National League with some kind of flaw that is not going to help them in the postseason. So I think the winner comes out of the American League. It's either Seattle or it's Boston. That's my pick.
Yeah, and honestly, as much as I again hate the Mariners, I really do think that they're the least flawed team. I think with Andres Munoz coming out of the bullpen as a closer, just the game is over.
Yep.
I know that in 2022 the Astros did touch him up, and that's part of the reason why they were able to win that first game. But Andres Munoz has been having a crazy year. That offense has just been popping off with Josh Naylor at the helm. Really leading the charge since the trade deadline. Now, I know that he did suffer like some sort of injury, I believe against the Dodgers, or maybe it was the Rockies. I don't know if he's 100% anymore. I'm sure that he is. And I'm sure they gave him some type of shot to get over it. But yeah, I don't see really any flaws in their lineup at the moment. Their lineup is deep. It's at least 8 deep. And their pitching staff has proven time and time again that it can handle, I wouldn't say it can handle pitching in big moments, but they're a very good pitching staff. Let me just say that. Like, part of me wouldn't be surprised if the Mariners won a World Series. Part of me wouldn't be surprised if they crumbled into a billion pieces during the first side of pressure, because that's what this team has done historically.
What they really remind me of, Joe, is they really remind me of the 2023 Braves team because they hit a lot of home runs. Their lineup is extremely deep, and they have a pretty decent pitching staff. But once you sit for 5 days, that timing becomes a little bit off, and for a lot of guys, and that 96 at the top of the zone looks a little bit different. And it wouldn't surprise me if they get shut out in a game or two, and their season's over. Just like what happened to the Braves. Historic offense, can't do anything after sitting on their butts 5 days, and the slug gets exposed because we can't hit stuff at the top of the zone. Gee, I don't know who figured that out, Philly. So overall, I think they're the least flawed team, but there's a lot of nerds out there that find those flaws very quickly too. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm going Seattle or I'm going Boston to win it all. I'm not feeling any National League team to win it this year. Unlike last year, I thought it was either the Dodgers or the Padres, and we were right there. So, which everybody knew that because New York kind of sucked, to be honest. They had way too many flaws as a World Series team.
Yeah. So. And this will be my last thing on the Astros. It's kind of funny. If you really think about it, every AL West team had a hand in eliminating the Astros. If you really sit and think about it for like 2 seconds, Seattle came in and swept them in a very critical series. They lost 2 of 3 against the A's. The death blow was the Friday night game against the Angels, and then the final, finish him elimination was the Texas Rangers hit by pitch against the Guardians to walk off the game. So just like a full AL West, gang up and just, completely executing the Astros. It's very ironic. It's very hilarious when you sit and think about it for 2 seconds.
I was speaking of one last thing about the Mariners, and we'll close it out. We went to all 3 games against the Mariners, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sorry that they got fucked. And I will say this, Joe, I was unpleasantly surprised with how bad the Mariners dominated the Astros. Because obviously I knew they were a good team. I did not expect them to come out and absolutely just manhandle the Astros like that. To the point where I was like, they're clearly the better team here. Because it just, I wasn't expecting it. And that was surprising. It was very surprising to me. But anyway, you ready to wrap things up?
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to our swan song and to our playoff preview. We'll hopefully be back next week. After the wild card series and after the first 2 games of the division series, because the division series starts on Saturday. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Remember to throw us a like, and we will catch you on the next one at the Throwing Partners podcast. And just remember to like, share, and subscribe. We would really appreciate that. And then also too, remember you can find us on Apple Podcasts. So yes, thank you, and leave a 5-star review. That also really helps the show. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night.